Independence and coach Justin Putz is looking to clinch the Mustangs' third district title in the past 5 seasons. With a win today and some help from Hampton Dumont Cal over CPU in this Highway 20 showdown tonight versus the Hawks. But Will Ward in West Delaware leads the number 1 ranked rushing attack in Class 3A in front of their home fans in Brown Field in this highly pivotal District 3 matchup. Can the Valley Tigers get pressure on Maroon quarterback Jackson Smollett? That is the key for the Valley Tigers, and they have the chance to pull the upset in this crosstown rivalry matchup against the Maroons at Delling Catholic. I will give you the keys for both teams to win this matchup. On the 6th-ranked Lynx and 5th-ranked Cougars, on upset alert tonight on our Northland and Sea Rapids Kennedy on upset alert tonight. I will give you my opinion if they are or not and see if they can get a huge win tonight against the Wildcats and the Dragons. All this and much more coming up on Inside the Huddle as Inside the Huddle starts right now. Welcome to Inside the Huddle here in the mobile JT Sports Network studios. It's the big game here if you're looking at the Highway 20 showdown between 7-1, ranked number 5 Independence, and 4-3 West Delaware. After starting 1-3 to start the year, who would have thought they would still be here battling for a playoff spot? We will open up the phone lines at 319-327-3136 is the text number. 319-327-3753 is the text number. Also, you can call in to the show at the same number as well. But the big game today is the 5th-ranked Mustangs and the Hawks at 4-3. And it all starts with Mitchell Johnson, who's 10th in Class 3A in yards, 4th in Class 3A in touchdowns, 12th in Class 3A in passing touchdowns with 8. But the big one is Trey Weber. Trey Weber has been absolutely tremendous for head coach Justin Putz, because after last year, it was like, can we find somebody to not completely replace Marcus Beatty, but somebody that has a similar mindset as Marcus Beatty. And Trey Weber has fulfilled that role absolutely tremendously. Look at this. Trey Weber this year, 114 yards, 687 yards, 8 touchdowns, which is 11th in Class 3A in both categories. Also, Brady McDonald has been good so far for the Mustangs this year. The junior, 36 receptions, 347 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brady Kurt, Kaylin Hoover, 205 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brady Kurt, 174 yards, 3 touchdowns. Zach Seidels, 180 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Independence is 5th in Class 3A in interceptions with 8. And that's going to be the big key for the Mustangs tonight. Can they stop the rushing attack? That's going to be a big key for the Mustangs. The big key, in my opinion, for Independence today is stopping the rushing attack. Make sure you don't arm tackle against this West Delaware team. Because Will Ward, he will not go down on an arm tackle. He will not. He will shuck you off like you're a leaf on a tree. And that is fact. Because he's a powerful runner. He can get after you. He can go to the second level plus. He can go backside and really go after you. And it's going to be a big key. But conversely for West Delaware, if you're a Hawk fan, Same thing as Charles City last week. Limiting big plays. Limiting big plays. Getting off the field. Another one. Getting off the field on third down if you're a Hawk fan. Because against an Independence team, time of possession is going to be huge. I'm making a prediction right now. The team that has the most time of possession in this game has won the last 5 meetings in this game. The team that had the ball the most has won the last 5 meetings in this game. Will it go 6-6 tonight? We will find out. But the big key for West Delaware is they will run it. They are a classic smash mouth football team, running up the middle, beat you down. Not beat you down per se, but they will try to tire you out quickly. That is classic head coach Doug Wiekowicz and the Hawks, because they are really good at running out football. And the battle of the line of scrimmage is going to be huge for both sides. In this game, the battle of the line of scrimmage is going to tell you a lot in the first 5 minutes of the game. Because Independence, when they get big pushes for Trey Weber this year, the only loss this year for the Mustangs is against Assumption, but Mitch Johnson did not play in that game. If Mitch Johnson would have been healthy, I believe, this is my opinion, this is not a biased opinion, just because I'm a Mustang grad, this is not a biased opinion. I think we either keep it close or we win that game. Because Mitch Johnson is playing at a video game type numbers. His numbers this year are stuff that you see in Madden. And I'm not making this stuff up. Because let's go over it again. Mitch Johnson's 85 of 123. That's about 70% completion percentage for Mitchell Johnson. 1,057. He's top 10 in every category but passing touchdowns. And he is 8th in rushing. He's 12th in rushing touchdowns. As a quarterback, you don't see that often. A quarterback in the top 15 in rushing touchdowns as a quarterback. Mitchell Johnson, he has come back with a vengeance. After didn't play baseball almost all last year, he came back and said, hey, I want to lead this team to a title. I want to lead this city to a title. And Mitchell Johnson is absolutely playing at video game type numbers. I'm not saying this as bias. If you look at Mitchell Johnson, he is playing as good as Tegan Kasperbauer of Harlan right now. And that's saying a lot. Tegan Kasperbauer. He's playing as good as Tegan Kasperbauer right now of Harlan. And that is some big praise, because I love Tegan Kasperbauer of Harlan and his arm strength. And Mitchell Johnson has this. When you look at those two guys, they are similar. They are very, very similar. Tegan Kasperbauer and Mitchell Johnson. They are similar. They can run. They both can run. They can both throw it with power and accuracy, and plus they can throw on the run. Both of them can. I think Mitchell Johnson and Tegan Kasperbauer, you can compare them. You can compare them and say who is best at what. But Brady McDonald, the X factor of this game, in my opinion for the Mustangs, is one, Brady McDonald. Brady McDonald has to have a big game today if Independence wants to have a shot at winning this district. Because if the Hawks win, they win the district. But if the Mustangs win, they have to win next week against Center Point Urbana, or they have to have a loss against or Center Point Urbana has to lose tonight against Hampton Duma, which I might believe could happen. If Gavin Meder has a good game, I think it could happen, really. But you look at that defense with Sabeka, Tate Wood, Hupke, Krogman, all on that defensive line, and it's been absolutely amazing. But then for West Delaware, Brett Yankovic He's only 48 of 101 for 492 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 3 rushing touchdowns. But Will Ward has had 860 yards, 15 touchdowns. And Will Ward, this is going to be the key for the Mustangs. I'm going to say this over and over and over again. The key for the Mustangs today is stopping the run. Independence, stopping the run is huge. And then Logan Payton, 595 yards, 8 touchdowns. That is 25 rushing touchdowns alone between those two guys. That is absolutely scary when I look at this stat, because can Independence stop it? Can Independence stop it? That is going to be the key tonight for the Mustangs. Can they stop the run? And speaking with head coach Judson Putz, just a few minutes ago on my way on the air here, he said stopping the run is huge tonight. Stopping the run is going to be huge tonight. Because against a team like West Delaware, that's going to go smash mouth football, a team that's going to try to shove it down your throat, it's going to be the big key for the Mustangs. Can they get off the field on third down? Can the Mustangs get off the field on third down? Because West Delaware, their MO is slowing the game down, taking long drives, taking 5, 6, 7-minute drives, and keeping that high-powered offense on the sideline. The more West Delaware has the ball, advantage Hawks. Because the thing is with West Delaware, when they get going offensively, it's usually in the run game. Because when you look at the passing attack for West Delaware, the big gainers in the passing game are usually set up by success in the running game with play action. Because Brett Yankovic, he's an underrated thrower. He is a very underrated thrower, in my opinion. Because he can do some splashy stuff for the Hawks there. And then guess who what? First in Class 3A in rushing yards with 2,042 yards. We will be back with more coverage here of Week 7 in Iowa High School football with Waterloo Columbus and Sumner Fredericksburg. You're listening to Inside the Huddle on your exclusive home of Inside the Huddle, the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coolest It's Just Sauce, some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Their phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itsjustsauce.com. www.itsjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Karkars, Cliff McKinley, and Ben Seiler. Stay tuned for game picks for a jam-packed Week 7 in the Iowa High School football season coming up later in the show. And welcome back here to Inside the Huddle on the exclusive home of Inside the Huddle, the JT Sports Network. Now we come back here to Waterloo Columbus at 4-3, taking on the 4-3 Sumner Fredericksburg Cougars, as David Van Sickle has been okay this year. For 43 of 78, 607 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns. But the big factor tonight, if you're a Cougar fan, is Cade Mitchell. Cade Mitchell has been okay this year. 87 attempts, 457 yards, 6 touchdowns. Also, Trace Meyer. Trace Meyer has been okay. But when you look at the stats, Cade Mitchell has to David Van Sickle has to go out there and win you a game if you're a Cougar fan. If you're a Cougar fan, he's got to win you this game. Because you can't give the ball to Cade Mitchell 30 to 40 times if you're the Cougars and expect to win this game. Because Trace Meyer is your leading receiver and your leading tackler on the team. You don't see that very often in high school football. You do with some schools because they're smaller in that stature. But Trace Meyer, look at this. As a wide receiver, he has 12 receptions, 162 yards, and a touchdown. As a defensive player, he has 36 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 fumble recovery, 1 INT. Trace Meyer has some play. He's going to be flying around the field for the Cougars tonight for Thunder Fredericksburg. He's going to be flying around the field. And then for Waterloo Columbus, Carter Locker, the quarterback, 48 of 87, 650 yards, 6 touchdowns, 93 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns for Carter Locker. And then is duo in the backfield, and Carson Hartz, the senior. He's one of the most underrated backs in Class 2A. He's one of the most underrated backs in Class 2A, and he also leads the team in tackles with 61.5 tackles and 4.5 tackles for loss. These two players right here are going to be flying on the field. You will see a lot of Carson Hartz and Trace Meyer tonight for Waterloo Columbus and Thunder Fredericksburg. You will see a lot of these two tonight. And then Nick Merrifield, he's going to get into it. But this is going to be a smash mouth game. This could be a game where you might not see a pass thrown for 5 or 6 minutes. Because that's what these two teams are. These two teams are smash mouth, shove it down your throat, in your face. Let's go, keep it moving. This game is going to be physical. This game is going to be physical. Whoever wins the line of scrimmage will win this game. Whoever wins the line of scrimmage will win this game. I guarantee you. Because this game will have 20 rushes on one side, 30 rushes on the other side at least. Because these two, because he has 58 attempts, Carson Hartz, and Cade Mitchell has 87. 87, when you divide 87 divided by 6, that's 14.5 carries a game. And then for Carson Hartz, you take 58 divided by 7, that's only 8 carries a game. So I think Carson Hartz is going to get a little bit of a less carries per se, but Cade Mitchell's going to get at least 15 carries. That is going to be the key. Can Cade Mitchell go out there and win you a game? But do not overuse them. That is going to be the key for Waterloo Columbus and Thunder Fredericksburg, not overusing the guys. We'll be back with coverage from Class 1A with Iowa City Regina at 4-3, taking on Durant. You're listening to the exclusive home of Inside the Huddle, the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coolest It's Just Sauce, home of some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Their phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itsjustsauce.com. www.itsjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Karkars, Cliff McKinley, and Ben Seiler. Stay tuned for game picks for a jam-packed Week 7 in the Iowa high school football season coming up later in the show. Welcome back here. It's Austin and Regina taking on Durant and Gentry Dumont, the senior and the junior. 53 of 104, 700 yards, 10 touchdowns. This guy has to go out there and win you a game if you're Regina. Because Gentry Dumont has showed that he can do it, but Jackson Nevy has to have a big game tonight. The junior, 382 yards, 7 touchdowns. He basically has all but 3 of Dumont's touchdowns. If you're Durant, just double cup Nevy. No, it's Navy. It's Navy. Double cup Navy. Because if you take him away, this game could be a blowout. But if Jackson Navy has a big game, and Dumont has a big game for Regina, this game's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting to find out who's going to win this game. Because it's 4-3 Regina. Regina is fighting for their playoff lives. If they win, they get to 5-3. They will be on the bubble of a playoff spot. Durant, with a win, almost certainly gets into a playoff spot. This game is going to be huge for both teams because Regina has to win just to keep on playing, and Durant, even with a loss. But with a loss, Durant goes from being in to on the bubble. That is going to be the key for Durant. Durant can't get complacent because if Durant does, they can slip up. So I would say Regina needs a win to get to a playoff position tonight. But Roman Pointon absolutely amazing this year. The senior, 44 tackles, 2 for loss, 1 sack, 1 INT for Ronan Pointon. I don't know where he's going to college. I think he's going to college somewhere for the Eagles. But the big 2 players today, Levi Daniel, he's going to get a minor dose of work today for the Eagles. But the big 2 players for the Eagles, if you're a Eagle fan, are Gentry Dumont and Jackson Nevy. Because Jackson Nevy has 25 receptions. 25 out of 53. That means he almost has more receptions than the entire rest of the team has receptions. So that is a little bit good and a little bit bad at the same time. Because you need to spread the ball around. Because if you're always going to look for Nevy, and that means a good secondary right Durant, can jump routes and pick balls off. That is going to be the key for Iowa Regina. Can they find somebody when Nevy is covered to throw it to and make plays? That is going to be the key if you're a Eagle fan. If Nevy is not able to get open much in this game, who is going to step up in his place? Because because Gentry Dumont, he can run a little bit, but it's going to be a factor. Can Dumont make plays down the field and win this game for Iowa City Regina? Then for Durant, it's going to be a heavy dose of Noah DeLong. Noah DeLong has been absolutely amazing this year for Durant. 183 carries, 1,712 yards, 19 touchdowns. Isaac Nelson, the quarterback, has only thrown 42 passes all year long for the Wildcats of Durant. You look at the 183 divided by 7. That is 26 carries a game. Noah DeLong gets 26 carries a game. I know he's an excellent player. But you can't give him 30, 40, 50 carries a game. Because then you get predictable. And when a team is predictable, that's when you start getting stuck between a rock and a hard place. And you can't go anywhere because the team knows where you're going. You can't give them 30 to 35 carries tonight. If you're Durant, get him 20 carries. If you get him 20 carries for 250, Durant wins this game. Durant wins this game easily. But if Durant doesn't get Noah DeLong to at least 175, 150 yards, I was saying Regina has a shot. They'll pull off the upside here. Because Durant is not that good in the secondary. And I think Brady Meneke has 173 yards. So they're going to rely heavily on Noah DeLong to try to win this game. And I do get it because he's an amazing player. But you can't count on one player to win you a game. What happens if they find out how to stop Noah DeLong? And then you're stuck. If you're Durant, you're stuck. Because no other player has stepped up this year. Because Isaac Nelson has only attempted 42 passes all year long. And we're going to do the math right now. That's only 6 passes a game. That's only 6 passes a game. Wow, that is absolutely shocking from a perspective of Durant. Well, you only throw 6 passes a game because Noah DeLong is that good. And it's going to be a big factor for Noah DeLong. Can he get there and go there and whatever? But we'll be back here with more coverage. And when we come up, it's the big Class A showdown between undefeated Columbus Community and 10th ranked in Class A to 6-1 Albernet Pirates. You're listening to Inside the Huddle on the exclusive home of Inside the Huddle, the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coolest It's Just Sauce, some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Their phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itsjustsauce.com. www.itsjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Karkars, Cliff McKinley, and Ben Seiler. Stay tuned for game picks for a jam-packed Week 7 in the Iowa High School football season coming up later in the show. Welcome back here. It's the big Class A showdown between 6-1 Albernet and 7-0 Columbus Community. I would not make a pick for the Independence West Delaware game because I just can't put myself through it. But Albernet taking on Columbus Community, Mason Neighbor has been absolutely tremendous this year, as well as the running game with Carson Klosterman. But Mason Neighbor, 1,411 yards, 19 touchdowns, 84 of 122. He's been absolutely amazing so far this year, is Mason Neighbor. But then Carson Klosterman. Carson Klosterman has been good as well. 107 attempts rushing, 516, 10 touchdowns for Klosterman and the Albernet Pirates. Albernet, they're 6-1. But if Albernet can get a win and beat Columbus Community, they will go ahead of them in the playoff seeding. Both teams are in, but can they jockey for position? Yes. Albernet will go ahead of Columbus Community if they win. But they've vaunted running, they've vaunted passing attack. Grayson Carolyn, 22 receptions, 584, 548, 8 touchdowns. Braden Osborne, 400 yards, 6 touchdowns. And Peyton Baker, 207 and 2 touchdowns. The big tacklers, Brody Neighbor, as well at 43 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. The big factor for the Pirates is protecting Mason Neighbor enough time to give it to Carolyn, Osborne, Baker. It's the Fab 3. The key for Columbus is limiting big plays. Limiting big plays. That is going to be key if you're a Columbus community fan, because you cannot give up big plays against this passing attack. And you can't get behind by 14, 21, something around there. You got to keep it within a touchdown or 2 at a time against this vaunted Pirate offense. Because you got close to mid in the backfield. You got Neighbor leading the charge. You got Carolyn to the left of him. You got Osborne to the right. You got Baker to the left of Carolyn. And Grayson Carolyn is a very underrated player. He's one of the best wide receivers in Class 1A. No, Class A. Yeah, Class A. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. But guess what? But they have to take on Columbus. I'm looking at this. Jeff Hobach has only thrown 11 passes all year long. 11. I do not know how, but Caden Amagon has been the reason why they're winning. And Tristan Miller. 19 rushing touchdowns for Amagon. 11 touchdowns for Tristan Miller. And that's on 38 tackles. But the big is their defense. Riley Kohlberg, 51.5 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 4 sacks for Riley Kohlberg. And that's going to be big for Columbus community here today. And we'll be back here with the big showdown between Tenth Ranked Prairie, and Iowa City West. Iowa City West looking to get in the playoffs with a win. It's basically win, and you could get in. But they might knock Prairie out of the playoffs with a win, because it's based on the rated index. And you can fall 3 to 4 spots on rated index. We will talk about it more. It's the big Class 5A showdown between Cedar Rapids Prairie and Iowa City West coming up later on the show. And then game picks. After we talk about each game in depth, I'll give you my game picks other than Independence and West Delaware. And we will be back here in your exclusive home of Inside the Huddle, the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coolest It's Just Sauce, some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Their phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itsjustsauce.com. www.itsjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Karkars, Cliff McKinley, and Ben Seiler. Stay tuned for game picks for a jam-packed Week 7 in the Iowa High School football season coming up later in the show. Welcome back here. It's 10th ranked Cedar Rapids Prairie at 5-2, and Iowa City West at 4-3. It's a big showdown tonight in Trojan Field on Melrose. And this game's gonna live or die if Iowa City West makes the playoffs or if Prairie makes the playoffs. Because Prairie's ranked 10th. Prairie could fall out of the playoffs. Because if West beats them, This is gonna be a huge game for West. Can they get a win when it matters most, and can they make the playoffs here? But they gotta stop their do-it-all quarterback, Kale Sullivan. Kale Sullivan has been absolutely picture perfect this year for the Seahawks. 868 yards passing, 7 passing touchdowns, 503 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns for Kale Sullivan. But then their big running back is Kelly Taylor, the senior. 120 rushes, 774 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 283 yards receiving, 5 touchdowns receiving. 5 touchdowns receiving is absolutely tremendous for McKelly Taylor. They will put him in the offense a lot tonight. McKelly Taylor is gonna go out in the flat and he's gonna do it what he does best. Is go out in the flat and do it to the best of his ability out on the edge. Can he get there? Yeah. But the Seahawks have to have a big game from McKelly Taylor. Out of the backfield and in the backfield. Because you got to spread out that Trojan defense. That Trojan defense is elite. Because you need to spread them out, make sure that they pay for their mistakes. And if you're a Trojan fan, making sure that you capitalize on Prairie's mistakes. Because Prairie's a highly sound team. They don't make very mistakes that often. Can you capitalize on their mistakes? It's going to be the absolute must if you're a green and gold fan today in Trojan Field. But the receiving yards, Apollo Payne, 24 receptions, 301 yards. But this guy, one of the best defenders in Class 5A is Nick Powell. 33 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries, 3 forced fumbles for Nick Powell. Nick Powell, he is a speedster. He can cut you down from behind and he can make up ground quickly. Because when I was there for the week 4 game for Prairie, I watched Nick Powell. And Nick Powell flied around the field like he was like JoJo Frost type of fast. He can make up ground quickly. He can turn his hips. He can run and cover. He can play press or man very well. I'm not be shocked if he's going to play college somewhere next year. For Iowa City West, Jack Wallace. And this guy has to go win you a game. Jack Wallace, the sophomore. He's young, but can he win you a game? 85 or 150, 1,320 yards, 13 touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. But Devontae Morris is going to be a huge factor too at 212, 219, 6 touchdowns for Devontae Morris. But you got his big target, Christian Janis. Christian Janis has to have a big night tonight. If you are a green and gold fan, because when Christian Janis gets over 100 yards this year, Iowa City West is 2-0. Iowa City West is 2-0 this year. When they get above 100 yards with Christian Janis, the senior. But can Jack Wallace win you the game? Can Jack Wallace make plays when he has to keep the drive alive and this season alive? Because there's no way you make the playoffs if you lose this game. You got to win out to make the playoffs if you're Iowa City West. If you're a green and gold fan, you have a chance to make the playoffs, but you got to win out. You got to win out, and this guy right here, Ashton Honery. Look at this. 46 tackles. 24 tackles for loss. 7 sacks. This guy is absolutely video game-like numbers on defense. Some people don't even get 7 sacks in a season. He has 7 sacks with 2 games to go. He can get 10 sacks. He can get 10 sacks. That will be some type of record, I believe. It won't be the highest, but he will be in like the top 10 as a junior. For Ashton Huntery, he has been flying around all year long. We'll be back with the humongous showdown in Class A, 6th-ranked Northland, and 5-2 Maquoketa Valley. It's going to be a good one. We will be back here with that breakdown. You're listening to Inside on the exclusive home of Inside the Huddle, the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Cool's It's Just Sauce, some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Their phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itsjustsauce.com. www.itsjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Karkars, Cliff McKinley, and Ben Seiler. Stay tuned for game picks for a jam-packed Week 7 in the Iowa High School football season coming up later in the show. Welcome back here. Northland ranked number 6, but I think they might be on upset alert. So they are one of my teams on upset alert. But will I go with the Wildcats when it comes to game pick time? Or will I say they are, but I won't pick them yet? But Tate Hagenbury has been good. 85 of 131, 1,100 yards, 14 passing touchdowns, 6 rushing touchdowns. Mason Beechin has been amazing as well. 11 rushing touchdowns, 554 yards, 166 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns for Mason Beechin. And then the big tight end, Cale Bridgewater, 370 yards, 5 touchdowns, 51 yards, and 1 touchdown. And that is going to be huge for the... Can they get it downfield? But the big factor in this game is going to be Lance McShane and TJ Cook. Those are going to be the 2 factors in this game. TJ Cook and Lance McShane. But you can give... Let's do the math again. He has been getting 22 carries a game. You can't do that tonight. Against a team like Northland, TJ Cook's got to go and win you a game. TJ Cook's got to go and win you a big game. He has it this year. Can TJ Cook do it? I believe he can. I believe he has the talent around him to do it. Lance McShane is their leading receiver, too. But the big key for them is Aiden Swallow on defense, 551 tackles, 16.5 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery for this junior Aiden Swallow. But the big key for the Wildcats is, can TJ Cook go and win you a game? The big key for Maquoketa Valley is, can he go and win you a game? Because that's going to be a big key for Maquoketa Valley, because you got to stay disciplined, you got to stay offensive, and you got to take risks. If it's 4th and 1, you got to go for it. Against a team like Northland, you can't win by punting the football back to Tate Hagenbury. If the more possessions Northland gets, advantage Lynx. The less possessions Northland gets, advantage Wildcats. And I will be in favor of Maquoketa Valley doing smash mouth type football, because you can wind that clock. The less possessions Northland gets, the more Northland gets flustered, and the more Northland gets flustered, it's going to be a fun game and see what happens there. But the big key for the Wildcats tonight is getting T.J. Cook win you the game. We'll be back here with the big top 10 showdown between 9th ranked West Des Moines Valley at 4-3 on the year, taking on number 2 and 6-1 West Des Moines Dowling in the big crosstown rivalry. We'll be back with that breakdown here in a couple minutes. You'll listen to Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coors It's Just Sauce, some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Their phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itsjustsauce.com. www.itsjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Karkars, Cliff McKinley, and Ben Seiler. Stay tuned for game picks for a jam-packed Week 7 in the Iowa High School football season coming up later in the show. Welcome back. It's the big Class 5A West Des Moines showdown between 4-3 9th ranked West Des Moines Valley and then ranked number 2, 6-1 West Des Moines Dowling Catholic Maroons. The big key for the Tigers is going to get pressure on Jackson Smollett. And that's going to be the key tonight for the Valley Tigers. But Michael Pavicianza, 69 for 107, 645 yards, 5 touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns for Pavicianza this year. And then rushing yards, Darius Mason, 89 attempts, 444 yards, 4 touchdowns. The rated receivers also Aiden Price, 34 receptions, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns. A big key for the Tigers is Tristan Irvin, the senior, 27 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery for Tristan Irvin as well. But the big key for the Tigers, we will say this during game picks. Can he get pressure on Jackson Smollett? But then, for the Maroons, Jackson Smollett, 1,305 yards, 12 touchdowns, rushing touchdown. Rashad Davis, 78 attempts, 416, 8 touchdowns for Davis. And then Cooper Nicholson, 35 receptions, 564, 7 touchdowns. And then Jamie Waynack is 36 tackles for loss. No, 36 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 1 tackle there. And let's take a look at the RPI quick before we get into it more. Look at this. Class 5A RPI, Dowling Catholic number 1, Southeast Polk number 2, Ankeny number 3, Pleasant Valley number 4, Cedar Rapids Kennedy number 5, Prairie number 6. So Prairie at number 6 is pretty safe in a playoff spot. But they can fall from 6 to 10. 6 to 10 means you have to go on the road more. This game is huge because I believe Iowa City West is just outside at 17. Iowa City West is just outside the playoff field at 17. You have West, Waukeno West at 7, Ankeny Centennial at 8, Cedar Falls at 9, Davenport West at 10, Johnston at 11. With a win here today, Johnston could solidify himself in the playoff with a win over Cedar Rapids Kennedy. Kennedy could fall from 5 to 10. Johnston can move up from 11 to 7, in my opinion, with a win today. And that could get him a home game. Then West Des Moines Valley, with a win over Dowling, they can go from 12 all the way to 6. If Prairie loses. If the right team loses, Valley can go up from 12 to 6 really quickly. Urbandale 13, Ames 14, and Sioux City East 15. The top 10 in Class 4A is Xavier Cedar Rapids at 1, WSR at 2, Council Bluffs Lewis Central at 3, Iowa City Liberty at 4, Spencer at 5, Carlisle at 6, Fort Madison at 7, Epworth, Western Dubuque at 8, Indianola at 9, and Newton at 10. The big key is Xavier. Can Xavier stay undefeated? If Xavier stays undefeated, then they will walk in the number 1 seed. No ifs, ands, or buts. But if they slip up just one bit, I bet you they will not be the number 1 seed. But the top 15. The top 15, I don't believe Humboldt's number 1. But Humboldt's 1, Mount Vernon 2, Nevada 3, Harlan 4, Christian 5, ADM 6, Norfolk 7, Independence 8, Solon 9, Benton Community 10, West Delaware 11, Central DeWitt 12, Gornell 13, Ogona 14, and CPU 15. The big key, but if this was a conference, Mount Vernon, Independence, Solon, Benton, West Delaware, and CPU. That would be 6 ranked teams in the RPI if they did conferences. But back up here with the big battle here between Kennedy at 6-1 and Johnston. Vincenzo Gianforte, 845 yards passing, 11 touchdowns for him. Trevor Scott, 436 and 5 touchdowns. Cyrus Courtney, 24 receptions, 4. And then Riker, then Will Nuss is going to be good too. We'll be back with game picks. Game picks coming up next. Don't touch that dial, as game picks is coming up next on the exclusive home of Inside the Huddle, the JT Sports Network. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coola's It's Just Sauce, some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been serving award-winning barbecue since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. Their phone number is 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.itsjustsauce.com. www.itsjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team, Todd Wiley, Dave Karkars, Cliff McKinley, and Ben Seiler. Stay tuned for game picks for a jam-packed Week 7 in the Iowa High School football season coming up later in the show. Welcome back. It's game pick time here on the show. As first game we're picking is Waterloo Columbus taking on Sumner Fredericksburg. What I think is going to be telling in this game is, I said it before, is Carson Hartz versus Cade Mitchell. You can give Cade Mitchell 14 plus. You can get 14 plus carries, actually a reasonable amount. But David Van Sickle and Carter Lockert, and that is going to be the key. I think Carter Lockert is going to outduel David Van Sickle. Give me the Sailors over the Cougars. Asa Regina taking on Durant. Gregory Dumont is going to be the huge factor here. But I don't think Asa Regina has a number 2 wide receiver. They don't have a number 2 wide receiver as itself. So with that being said, I will take Durant. Give me Durant with the win tonight in Noah DeLong, but Noah DeLong cannot have 26 plus carries. They can't have 26 plus carries. So give me Durant there. Alburnett Columbus Community. This was a tough one because Alburnett has had trouble. They haven't beaten an undefeated team since 2014. Will that change tonight in Pirate Field? Maybe. But you know what? Give me the Pirates. Give me the Pirates to break the curse and break the spell. I'm going Pirates over Columbus Community because I think the Mason Neighbor is going to show the Class A voters that he means business. So give me the Pirates over Columbus Community. Sea Rapids Prairie, Iowa City West. Okay, this is gonna be my one of the could be an upset pick here. As Iowa City West is very, very good at running the football. Iowa City West is good at running the football with Devontae Moore. But Jack Walsh, I will say this again, Jack Walsh has to go out there and win you a game. Jack Walsh has to win you a game. And he hasn't been in a big game scenario as a sophomore. This is his first season as a full starter for the Trojans of Troy. So this is going to be a big factor in this game. Do I go with Jack Wallace or do I go with the P-Hawks and Cale Sullivan? You know what? I'm going to go with Wes. I'm going to go with Wes. Hear me out here. I believe that it's going to be a very close game if Iowa City West wins. I believe the defense with Ashton Huntery with that stat, 6.5 sacks, that is a very intriguing stat to go against. That is. That really is. That is really an intriguing stat to go against. So give me the Trojans over the P-Hawks and have a big game. Jack Walsh got to get it to Christian Janis a lot there. Northland taking on Mac Valley. I'm going to pick the Lynx. Here's why. TJ Cook has not proven to me that he is a stable quarterback that I can trust. You may trust him as a Wildcat fan, but as a broadcaster and as a picker on this show, I don't trust TJ Cook. So give me the Lynx over Mac Valley. West Des Moines Valley, West Des Moines Dowling. The big key in this game, I'm going to go Dowling. I'm picking Dowling here, but the big key for Valley is can they get sustained pressure on Jackson Smolik? If they can, Valley has a chance to win this game. Valley has a chance to either contend in this game or win. But you got to at least hurry them up. You got to at least have 5 hurries, quarterback hurries, to have a chance against Dowling Cowboy. You got to get them out of rhythm. You got to get that Maroon offense and Coach Tom Wilson out of rhythm. That's going to be the big factor for Dowling. And then Kennedy at 6-1. Here's why I'm going to go an upset here. Give me Johnston. Why? Rex Woodley has been absolutely on fire in the last 5 games. In the last 3 games. He has 5 touchdown pass receiving in the last 3 games. And Will Nuss, the baseball star, the sophomore, has 11 passing touchdowns in football. This is going to be a big factor here today for Johnston. So the picks as followed. If you missed it. If you just missed the game pick section, I will run it back for you. I picked the Sailors to get a big win over Sunder Fredericksburg. I picked Durant to clinch a spot in the playoffs against Regina, and Regina would be out of the playoffs. I picked Alburnett to get their first win against an undefeated team, against a 7-0 team since 2014, as the Pirates getting a big win against Columbus Community. I picked Iowa City West to beat Cedar Rapids Prairie. I picked the Lynx to beat Maquoketa Valley. I picked Dowling to beat Valley, but with a caveat: if Valley gets sustained pressure on Jackson Smolik, I'm picking Valley. But I'm picking Dowling in this one. And then I'm picking Johnston to beat Kennedy. Thanks a lot for listening, and thanks a lot for listening. Until next time, I am Jansen Turner saying so long. You've been listening to Inside the Huddle on the exclusive home of Inside Huddle, the JT Sports Network.